我只能说，其实我们所有队伍等这一刻都等了很久吧，去有机会去展现我们自己的风采。可以说这一次比赛就是我们所有队伍沉淀了很久的一部分展现出来了。
I've always looked forward to play EDG. We had a few practices against them in Shanghai. They're high risk takers, and if you don't give them that respect, they'll take advantage of it, and next thing you know, Jet will be in your spawn at 130.
这个队伍是一个很强劲的对手，然后以及他的一些战术安排其实很让我们不适，但是我们只能说现在已经不是以前的我们了，我们会以我们全力去备战这次比赛。
To EDG, I love your playstyle, but unfortunately, your playstyle will be countered by ours.
Heartbreak for Lev. An early exit, one that was not expected.
After Shanghai, we had a talk, and we really just had to learn to play as a team. We have some of the most insane individual players, but we were lacking teamwork. We really focus on our scrims and just try to be together as much as you can.
13-7 on Bind, what may prove to be the upset of the tournament. Look at what this means to these players.
T1来说，确实很多外面的眼光确实对我们不好，就是觉得我们来世界赛就是一轮游什么的。但是，我赢下来了，好吧。
Playing Trace would definitely be interesting. They are impressive in certain aspects of their game. You can't take anyone lightly.
Could be any team. I will prepare and try my harder against them. I am always willing to learn.
说实话，阿斯帕斯是我在3年前，我还是在队里担任主决斗的时候的一个偶像。就先不管结果如何，但是我相信是一场很精彩的比赛。
Tracy Esports. Leviatán.
It's the ambitious upstarts from China versus the world beaters from the Americas region. You got Tracy Esports, Leviatán. You heard Hebe say he's playing up against his idol in Aspas, but today you got to put all of that to the side. It's game time, and you got to put up or shut up. Here's the series layout. It's Bind, Sunset, and Ascent if necessary. And honestly, here I look at this and I gotta favor Leviatán.
They have extremely similar map pools.
Yeah.
They literally are playing the same maps that they played in their previous series.
Yeah. Oh man, and honestly, I mean, what do you guys make of this right now? Like, do you feel like this, even though it is the same maps, do you think that kind of helps Trace a little bit here?
I think it's going to be a lot of pressure on this Bind, and it feels like Trace really need to get the victory there. That was where they looked the most impressive. That is where that deadlock composition really came together and was looking so incredibly strong. They need to have that similar impact coming out of that agent pick, unless they do throw us a curveball, but I highly doubt that given the short turnaround period. But yeah, need to be able to get this win, try to take this over to potentially Ascent if they can't get a 2-0 closeout, and then just have Kai go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think over to Sunset, one of the big things that was concerning for me was they weren't really doing a good job of getting info and then using that to make good maneuvers or use it against their opponents. They were kind of just trying to dry read the map, and that really does not work well at this level. So that is something they're going to have to address coming into today. No matter what, it's going to be difficult just because Leviatán is Leviatán.
Yeah, I mean, Lev worked the map so well, right? It's been, you know, their specialty. You're seeing guys like Calm who make plays happen. Tex as well. Let's not forget about him. These are guys that, even though, you know, you're not talking about Aspas, right? These are guys who contribute just as much in a variety of different ways. Trace Esports certainly going to have their hands filled here, but I'm curious to see how much that deadlock throws a spanner into some things here against.
I mean, sometimes it really can catch you off guard, and that was where we were seeing Trace have just really solid reads, not just dry reading the map, being able to have a very firm understanding of what their opponents were going to be doing round over round. They need to be able to get a similar read here against Leviatán.
It's tricky because Deadlock can beat you in two different ways. We saw it with the clip where they throw those grab nets and they set up these trap plays, great. Or if you allow them to get into post plants, it's extremely difficult to get past her utility. So it's finding that balance of avoiding the early traps and then dealing with the post plants or just getting out of the post plants and then knocking them out of the round entirely.
Yeah, of course, this is going to be a tough challenge here for Trace Esports. Leviatán, though, certainly are going to have their hands full. Let's not forget about that. Let's send it over to your casters for map number 1. Two guys that love to give out Riot gun buddies. Confirmed, by the way, it's Mitch and Tom.
Why'd you have to do that, GB?
So it's me, Paper Thin. Yeah.
And me, Jack Igo. Make sure to get in our DMs right away. No, ignore that.
Again.
Throw him under the bus.
It was me last time. So.
We've got an incredible series for you here. Lev have been looking absolutely unbelievable, but Trace, they surprised us in their opening game here on the international stage. Tom, their second time, well, you know they're hungry for that feeling again.
Yeah, and I think they came out of the blocks as a surprise, but at the same time, they looked like they had a decent game plan, a lot of cool ideas. It's not like it was a team that just like kind of fluked it. I think that's always the way that we get with teams that are unknowns or teams that we haven't seen too much of before. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have to offer here. And the map, or at least the first and third map, are the maps that they did well on when they played versus Vitality. So I think it's definitely an advantage to Leviatán. Let's not be silly. They have been performing very well over the last stage. But there's definitely still hope for the China number 3 already. Going to be kicking things off on their attack side. This is where they only lost the pistol and every other round went their way versus Vitality. For now, at least. The game is sort of ground to a halt. There's quite a bit of space taken by Fong Fong, but it's whether or not he can get anything done. The answer is no, but his teammates can.
It's a bit of a shutdown. 4 versus 2 off rip. Pistol round could be online early on. TP by Mazzino. They know that he's here, and they're backing off. Trace looking to give the space away, taking control instead towards the lamps. Over behind that box, 2 players tucked in. The cam's already reconfirmed the information. And that wall is causing a bit of a problem for Com. They have to expend a lot of ammo to break that open, and they use it to bait in. Locking into the fight. A good start, but still that trap. 2 players stood in behind that box, and Kai's the first to strike. Com now left in an uphill battle. A tough position. At least lands the first, but the time is ticking away. He has to get on that spike soon. Has to root these players out of position, and the double swing. Very close. But not close enough. It's 1-0 to the Chinese squad.
Yeah, I think the time had already gone, so that's why you see the double face towards the end. But I do like just how they're playing their post plants. Relatively safe, but also just having that double up in an uncharacteristic position. And again, we just see the value of the solid timing. I think this team has a lot of really good fundamentals where you're not seeing them make too many mass mistakes, which I think a lot of the teams we've seen like burst onto the international stage or come into the international stage have had as problems. The fact as well that Fong Fong has been able to get that far forward in the early round is something that might have to be thought about, but of course, it's early days here for Leviatán.
And early round 2, you can see that Leviatán have stacked up A. They've got a lot of space, having already pushed straight down A short, so the timer is ticking for Trace to get into B. Com doing his best to slow them down. And there is a rotation from Mazzino, but he'll be here too late to do anything. Walking out to the site, just a pistol in hand, and he is quickly dealt with. The site now completely under Trace's control. The flank may be able to find some value, though, from Aspas and Tex. It is being watched, though. It's not going to be found for free, but a battle against these two could go either way.
Well, the other thing as well is the way that Tracy using the barrier is it just isolates players. So King is just having to wait at the moment because he's completely locked off from a teammate. It means that there's not an easy way back in. And in fact, we're going to see King just go in the other direction. Nice shot from Kai. Looking like they'll keep this one nice and clean unless there's some sort of mistake. And Texas' position could be that mistake. A gap left in the armor. A re-rotation. They've kind of got lost at where Com was, but the shot's not quite clean enough. Even still, Tex has done fantastic work.
Yeah, good damage at the end of the day. No chance to defuse that spike, and both players falling to it, all for the economy. A 2-0 start nonetheless, and 3 weapons carried forward to the next. It's not a terrible start for the attacking side, but here's where the guns come out on the defense, and where Leviatán have a chance to put rounds on the board.
Yeah, it's safe to say as well that I think that this choice for Trace is a good one. It's a map that regionally hadn't been going great over the last stage, lost it 3 times in a row to solid opposition. You're talking about the likes of FPX, Titan, JDG, but ultimately it didn't look great. But after their victory versus Vitality and a close victory for Leviatán versus Talon, clearly feeling confident and what they can do with this comp. The buy, though, it's not the best. A couple of pistols will be in play, and I think if they win this one, that would be a pretty impressive start. They've done a lot of damage, actually. Com almost down already.
I definitely started out as a hater of the deadlock, but looking at Trace playing it last time, certainly started to sell me on it. In the first couple of rounds, I agree. That barrier has been a bit of a problem early on. Leviatán control over Bath. Orb taken, space taken. And it's going to slow down the round for Trace by quite a bit. When it comes to blow, they haven't really got the weapons. Instead, they're going to use the numbers to try to overwhelm that A site. 3 players stacked up, though, and big players at that. Aspa is the first line of defense, and he's going to get an opportunity as this smoke fades.
40 seconds on the clock. Execution now beginning, but King, as we saw last time out, kicking things off with a bang. Already going to isolate the rotation, make it a little bit harder, but the players on site are already doing an impressive job from Leviatán, but there is a trade back from BNK, at least making it competitive.
And they're starting to get some of these sonic sensors up, trying to throw in a curveball in case Leviatán get aggressive and take some space. Immediately Mazzino dropping locking, that's a problem. The spike needs to get on the ground, and they know that swing can come in from Bath. 8 seconds now, and they're isolated. No chance to put the spike on the floor until the round is over. 2-1 we go. Leviatán have bought right back into it. 4 players alive as well. It's a very successful round for the defensive side.
Yeah, I think just being a little bit more committed to that A site. As said, like the way that the barrier can sort of isolate teammates from being able to rotate, and obviously more of a problem in the pistol than any other round, but also just holding on to some of the aggressive control. Like, you're not allowing them to get deep through lamps, you're not allowing them to have that showers control, and just denying that space, it makes this execution a whole lot harder, and also just the weaker weaponry in general is always going to be a difficult round for Trace. Now, though, we're going to have the buyback in. The only ultimate available right now is going to be the Thrash for Tex, and he was someone in their first match who had a fantastic performance.
Big battle from Mazzino. The sprays through the orb doing damage. Fung sent back the other direction, but most of that was the decay. They'll be in fighting form for the late round, but they've been denied any of that control. The Tigers sent out to seize it back, but nobody up close. Trace definitely want to take control of that area now, but in comes the Thrash and sends them back yet again. It's not committed. It's just going to be kept out for the late round, but it's used to get Mazzino into position alongside the orb. And then Texas jump spotting it. This is a bait play from Leviatán. And Mazzino might be able to catch someone off guard as a result, and he does. The orb back up, and he can get right out of there.
Yeah, wonderful interplay. Heibei's going to be the man trying to lurk back through. So this is also going to be checked. No, it's not. Whoops. Well, you know, it happens to the best of us. It's not going to work out this time. He's able to check long again. Can't quite make it up the box. And in fact, we're going to see a late rotation. The thing is, there's still 2 players here. Aspas and King patiently waiting for this push to be attempted.
Even after still seeing 1 player outside B, yeah, there's just no over-rotations on the Leviatán side, knowing they've got the advantage. Molly now to slow them down even more. And with 15 seconds on the clock, this is getting uncomfortable. Trace have to try to fight for this space, and the nade's gone in. That is going to take Fung off the plant, drop the spike, and with that the round already secured. A follow-up from Aspas gets another nade, and there is no chance even saving the weapon now for Kai. Nearly impossible. Everybody trained in on that position. 2-2, and this round went even better than the last.
That was just a fantastic read from the side of Leviatán. Just not using their utility unless they were pressured over on that A site, and they had a late round Molotov, a late round nade, getting a plant out. They even put a smoke in, so there wasn't really an opportunity for anybody to actually battle versus them. They could just spam through those smokes, and it took ridiculous risks almost just to try and get into position. And then also just the initial combos that you can see the synergy that this team has built over time. And that was the sort of major criticism. When this roster was formed, sure, we knew that there was insane individual ability. They were signing champions, winners. Of course, we knew where this was going to head, but the synergy wasn't there. And that is what has happened a lot through stage 2. Com already under pressure, but he's thriving within it.
Talk about this guy being underrated. If he keeps this up, that won't last long. 7-2 already. Big kills, shutting down what could have been a flood straight out of hookah and sending Trace to the other side of the map. They're hoping that Bianche can find the space in the meantime. But even walking out here, you can see it's being watched by King. He's been good at just finding his pick, punishing the space taking on this site. Now it's Tex that's swapped in for him, with the smokes being set up as we speak. And Tex ain't missing a beat. Nice clean kill. Kai low HP, just outside the bath, and the swing up top from Aspas. That is going to close him out. All left into the hands of just one. The Brimstone of Locking. He's going to have a tough time with this Sheriff in hand and the spike on the site.
Yeah, any damage he could do here would be nice, but with the smoke fading, he's going to end up with back-to-back flawless rounds for the side of Leviatán. After the pistol and follow-up, does seem like they found their footing. And I kind of want to comment on that. It is crazy to me that the only guy coming in looking for a back-to-back champions win is underrated. Like, it's like, how did that ever happen? How did anybody consider?
But even on his old team, the conversation never revolved around him.
I wouldn't say
supportive utility was always fantastic,
never,
but
yeah.
in the broad scale of the community, though, I think this is a guy that hasn't got the roses he deserves.
Yeah, I think maybe he should be a bit higher up. And I think this year especially, as I said, with the beginning of the year looking a little bit more sketchy for this squad and not having the performances people expect, I think the blame was sent somewhere, and unfortunately it went to him. But I feel like that narrative, especially if they're able to perform in this tournament, is going to change incredibly fast. Trace taking a fairly early pause though, and I don't mind this. I think the patience of Leviatán has definitely made things a little bit more difficult, and that's the thing with a composition like this. Okay, maybe people weren't looking at Trace within the first round. Like, I'm sure, I don't doubt the Vitality did their research, they looked into this team, but expectations were not that they would, well, I think if you looked at the pick'ems, most people would have them in 4, and that's not the most ludicrous thing to have. The thing is though, they played this map. And I don't doubt that Itopada has been sat behind the scenes. He's watched those demos. He's known what they're going to do. And a lot of their execution on the A site especially is a very similar vein each time. Like, they're trying to lock off that spawn. They're trying to basically make it so they can get into those post plants. And so far, what Lev have done on that side of the map is deny them getting the plant, which it takes away a lot of what the value of this comp has.
You saw a lot of pressure put onto the extremities of the map by Leviatán as well. The orbs fed to Tex, got Thrash online so early, and that was what made them pump the brakes twice on their B execution a few rounds ago, leading to the time being the main enemy. Now again, there's a player tucked in the corner. This time they'll clear it, and Bianche's the one to find it. Doubling up in the battle. Seekers go out, Tex in trouble, and it's Bianche's triple that gets the B site for Trace. A 4 versus 2 as a result, and a plant almost guaranteed.
Well, they got to get the spike back, but it's not going to be easy. Already having to destroy some of the deadlock utility that was slowing them down, but that's all it's done, slow them down.
Double sensors.
And already, well, Bianche is looking for a little bit more. You can see comms dissipated to the other side of the map, but he might meet Kai. Waiting there on that lurk, a late lurk, but Com expects it. That might just allow him to hold on to the rifle. The thing is, though, we already mentioned it, the last couple of rounds were squeaky clean for the side of Lev, so I really wouldn't mind if he goes hunting. Tries to drop some weaponry. He is going to have max cash anyway.
Really enjoyed Heibei's little sonic sensors, doubled up on that B choke point. You take a fight against the player, well, even if you go down, your teammates got the trade with the stun, and if they break the first sensor, the second one hits them while they shoot at it. So absolutely gorgeous, tough to deal with, and Calm, just like you said, went out to try to punish, but it's him that ends up in the dirt. 3-3, and a well-used timeout by Trace to get them back on the board, but a lot of that goes to Bianche. What a phenomenal opening, great flash to start, fantastic correction in the Seekers, forcing Tex out into the open, and he quickly punishes them, and that's the round done before it even gets started.
Yeah, no, he is someone that we already know as like the nightmare of a very specific Americas team, but someone that I guess was there to put some of the other Chinese teams on the map. Because I think we've always looked at the likes of EDG as a threat. I think they proved themselves very early on. FPX had that sort of quirkiness that I still think underrated as a squad. But I think Billy was a shock. And I think Trace are looking to be that here in this tournament. Already equalizing. But as said, when they played versus the likes of Vitality, their attack was clean. The only round they lost was a pistol. Everything else went their way. So definitely facing a lot more resistance and an early Viper's Pit and some aggression on the other side of the map from Aspas, who now has himself an operator. As said, they had so much cash. So him spending to basically lock down an awful lot of control The question is, how far does he go, and does he catch the spike?
This would be terrible. And it is the spike on the floor. He's not sticking around to defend it. The right call. But early on, Trace losing that, hesitating to pick it back up, and they'll go running right to the other side of the map, right towards that Viper's pit. The orb already up. They will have a timing to get out here in just a moment. They'll still have to deal with Mazzino on the backside, and he's looking for a fight.
And nade's going to be put in. Mazzino is going to deny 2 before the showstopper connects onto him. And that Viper's pit now has extra support. King has joined the B site. Tex is there watching behind. They don't have time to go back either. They have to just run into this site or just hold on to the weaponry that they've got. And I'm assuming at this stage they are going for that second option. The question is, again, with credit still available, do the remaining players of Lev just opt to fight this and try and remove those guns?
All the final seconds are ticking down. It looks like a more passive phase from this squad. Content to have their credits running very high in the early half, and a 4-3 lead now locked in. This is starting to look a little scary because there's a theme to the rounds that Trace are losing, and it's just stalled out by the clock. They're denied space everywhere they look. They try to force rotations by showing presence on one side of the map, but the picks aren't coming in.
Well, I think as well they've got to start denying some of that early map control. Like, either we've been seeing Lev be able to battle for B long, which they did fantastically, a lot of utility use, or this round they just walked up in towards the showers. And Aspas having that much command of the map just can't happen. By the looks of it, though, they might be opting to pick up the pace, and oh, it's a missed shot that will give them the site.
It will. Ultimate used by Hebe. It's not caught anyone, clearing out the back corner at least, but 4 players inside of Bat. That's a hard one to calculate this early on. Spike tapped to try to draw out the spams or any extra utility comm. A little bit of a tough spot. He's in jail. Might not have been annihilated, but he's put behind bars. Breaks himself out. He's free to rotate back around to the spawn just in case the TP is taken and the B side is the ultimate target. For now, might not be a bad idea for Trace, but they have no idea how many players are waiting on the opposite side of those smokes.
The danger as well is they don't have any more smokes of their own. A cage or 2 might be able to go up, but I think this has to be a brawl rather than an attempt to plant. Maybe waiting to see if a mistake is going to be made on the other side. But again, planting here is definitely not going to be easy, as there will be spams, there will be attempted denial. I don't mind the idea from Bianche to just throw out a flash, but now they are going to make that switch. Kai has been lurking. He's been taking space, and he's going to get the kill. That's a huge kill. That allows them to plant. That denies all the space that was there for the side of Leviatán. It's going to have to be a full retake.
This is what we've been missing. They've tried to push and pull the map, but they've never found the kills on the lurk in these rounds. It was only Bianche opening up a site, leveraging it out of their hands, but now they've actually got some space. They've got the plant, they've got the advantage to work with as well. Some players tagged up. And Leviatán definitely gearing up for this retake. The operator on Aspas, waiting for an opportunity for someone to show their face, but it's not happening. A very patient display by Trace as the timer runs down. Feng able to take the double on the back, and now it's just the op. Turning tail to the A site and being chased down. Eventually, they'll just decide to let him be and be content with the round conversion. The lead not extended by Leviatán. We're tied up 4-4.
Yeah, and high impact from Kai. Like, the thing I've always been impressed with from just these recent matches I've seen from Trace is, again, we talk about a lot of the teams that we've seen come in from China, or even initially from the likes of Pacific, and the way that they would play would be, okay, let's use our individual skill, let's be overly aggressive. But that hasn't really been the case for Trace. They are willing to walk into that A site initially and then wait for almost a full minute. Like, they'll just sit there and see if anybody on Leviatán is going to make a mistake. And then the reliance was on Kai. He goes down there, that's going to be such a difficult take. There was already a snake bite put into Hookah to delay by Leviatán, but it's that one kill, it gives them the plant, and then the post plants from them have been fantastic.
Well, much more global control by Trace. I like this look. You're expecting the adaptation from Leviatán, the aggressive pushes. The camera actually didn't spot it, but this will be checked periodically by Kai. He's not going to let them slip by undetected. 2 players tucked in the corner for Leviatán. They've been good at taking that space and farming the orbs. Again, Texas got the ultimate online. Thrash was a big problem for Trace last time they tried to hit a site. B was defended by it. both pulses of the Thrash completely halted the play and left the attackers with next to no time to get that plant in. Now, though, the space taken for free. There's the spot from Kai. Cage to protect him as well. A little bit of cushion, but Tex comes around the side, opens up the back control, and the big swing again. Bianchi, they're rushing to try to defend this man, but he can't get away. Luckily, the trade is in. 3 kills from Tex keeps it doable for Leviatán, though.
Yeah, the sensor to the backside. The wall also holding them back at least a little longer. It's going to take time to break it. I think Aspas not even going to shoot. He just wants to make sure that the game isn't given away, but the nade will do just that. Hebe, that's landed perfectly on him. It will force him out, but he's still standing. Hasn't been spotted. They don't know where he is right now. The sensor will get one. And in the meantime, Aspas, he's actually popped the showstopper, but instead, it's going to try tapping it. Knows he needs to get this one to half. Rocket back out, but he's not quite quick enough. Hebe with the Red Bull clutch will put Trace on the board once again.
And now the lead swaps hands. It's the attackers spearheading the way. That round 5 pause, they come right out of it with 3 out of 4 rounds. Momentum in the sails and starting to fall apart, considering how dominant the early round control was for Leviatán, winning it off time in 3 of those rounds. And Hebe, he tanked the nade to start with, showing no fear. And it's Aspas that he ends up dropping.
Well,
a beautiful start for him. He mentioned how Aspas was his idol for so long.
Well, that's the thing as well. Just the way this round kicked off, it almost looked like it was over. Like, it was Tex finding a high-impact double, able to hold control of Showers, having his ultimate online. I'm thinking it's a done deal, but it's the way that they immediately clear the site, realize that there's no further control there, and just to wrap back around to try and catch those players. They knew that it was critical that they had that control for the post plant. Again, just good calling, solid reactions from a position that looked like it was all doom and gloom. You can understand now why there is going to be a pause from Lev. Because they had a streak, they had a good read, a couple of flawless rounds, but now the economy is coming back to bite them. 3 of the last 4 haven't gone their way. And we're starting to see some of the impact that Hebe can have with his utility. Bianchi already mentioned just how good he can be. And although, yeah, I think expectations for Sunset is it should lean relatively heavy. I think that Trace have already proven throughout this tournament so far that you can look at the stats and how things have played out in China, and it doesn't really mean a lot.
Again, complementing those sonic sensors. 1 on the spike, 1 for the control around the back of the tall box. That's why Hebe's so comfortable sitting in that angle they thought was cleared. Now the early push-up from Aspas, I thought he was going to commit fully. It certainly looked like it, perhaps with a dizzy over top. They've sensed that there's presence here. Now refocusing towards the bathroom. King and Aspas on their way. Tiger goes through, it's seen them, and they've got their sights set on it. They're gonna fight for the control. It's Aspas to find it. And in goes the stim beacon for the swing. Aspas with another, and they're shutting them down. Lighting up the kill feed. The Leviatán side now with a 2-man advantage. That spike has no chance to be planted, and a flank underway. Traps covering it, but a lot of control given to the side of Leviatán.
It's such a deep trip as well. By the looks of it, it's been bypassed. But there is a second one. So it's not going to get any easier for Mazzino to lock them in, but he can make sure they're not coming back. And understandably, again, Trace are looking to try and take their time. Patience is key. There's a possibility that Bianchi can find a timing here, but I think that timing is well gone. And with Aspas holding and watching, it will be the scoreline equalized once again. A much more aggressive stance this side for Leviatán, and one that works out for them.
And even in the late round, Aspas wasn't covering Bath. I started to sweat a little bit, but the man's got a clock in his head. He knew exactly when that player could have shift walked all the way around. The early aggression, like you said, stim beacon used after the first kill. Tex holding down the site. He's been consistent so far. There's a reason you've heard that thrash online a number of times. Early on, it was about farming orbs and a couple of kills. Now he's 13-5. Gecko having a worldie of a performance, but still, the scoreline's equalized.
I'm excited if we get to Ascent, because he was unbelievable when playing on the Sentinel. Immediately, though,
it's dangerous.
Annihilation has been popped. I think it's going to catch King. I don't know if there's going to be any savior. They are going to try and spam this one, but they've got to be careful that they're not the ones running out of bullets. Aspas an immediate response to the IGL going down. But even still, the rest of the players somewhat locked out of the site. A flank coming in. Aspas has to fight versus 2, and he gets nothing. The jump across baits the fight, the stun as well to catch Tex. They know exactly where he is. And Mazzino's only just getting into play.
And they know he's coming. He had to break the trap to get through here. I think the hope was that Kai would be one of those players to fall, but nobody's falling on their side, and it's Kai's triple already. Mazzino out to put him to bed finally, but there's plenty players to trade that out. 6 rounds now for Trace. If you came in today thinking that they weren't a competitor, I think they're proving you wrong here and now, and a chance to confirm the lead for a 7-5 half. Phenomenal display already.
But yeah, I think the fact that I think their game versus Vitality woke a lot of people up, that this team can do some damage. Of course, there was talk of a lot of new players for Vitality coming to the stage, but I think it was Gorilla in his interview afterwards was saying, no, this is a legit team. You got to watch out for them. I think Kai definitely proving himself on the Jet, but as well, his depth of agent pool with the Sentinel. Let's look pretty good. Again, we're going to see this aggression. Put Aspas into play, Tex alongside him. Kai is watching. The first goes his way, and the information will be there. He actually gets Aspas as well. Okay, that's a deadly duo to take. That kicks out enough. Just running, spamming, knowing his opponent was low. But the rest of the team haven't just been sitting there. They're making their way towards the B side, but with 2 kills going down on A, I believe Viper being spotted and maybe even a flash being popped. Definitely a flash, in fact. Mazzino doesn't have any left. They know there's only 1 man on this A site.
They're looking for him. The Tigers got the scent. It's on the way, and King's being spotted. Molly down will delay them slightly, and the net is gorgeous. No escape for King. He's caught not just by the net, but by Feng Feng as well. Watch out for this swing, Com. Lawking's already swapped up his position deep to cover that walkthrough. And with the wall, the barrier blocking them out completely, Mazzino's going to have to give away his position. He knows there's a likely swing, but he can't do anything about it. Phenomenal half from Trace. And what a recovery after those first couple rounds.
Yeah, I think when we saw the 3-round streak in the middle, they're definitely getting a little bit worried that this could be another strong performance from Leviatán, and maybe they've learned from the mistakes of Vitality, but I'll be honest with you, Mitch, it seems like Trace is still a tough opponent.
Oh, most definitely. Oh, they have legitimized themselves, like you said, in that first game here on the international stage. And as we said, they're hungry for that feeling again, up against champions winners, but barely breaking a sweat. That timeout round 5 was beautiful. Let's talk about Leviatán, though, because we've got some of Com's family members down there. Let's hear from Papa Com.
Hello, everyone. It's the halftime interviews, and I'm Bella, joined by Leviatán's Com's dad, Papa Com. 안녕하세요. 이번 서울 좀 챔피언스가 이곳에서 열리는 게 조금 더 특별하실 것 같은데 이번 챔스 좀 어떻게 즐기고 계신가요? Champions in Seoul, it must feel a little more special, right? So how's this champs experience been like for you?
It's definitely a surreal experience. I was born here. I left when I was about 8 years old. And coming back here, I felt a sense of belonging. And Corbin, Com, also felt the same way. So it's really special to be here.
이제 여기서 태어나셨지만 8살에 이제 미국에 가셔가지고 다시 이번 챔스로 좀 돌아오셨을 때 파파컴도 그렇고 콤 선수도 조금 뭔가 소속감 되게 집에 온 것 같은 그런 느낌을 느꼈다고 하십니다. 그리고 만약에 이번에 콤 선수가 챔피언스를 우승하게 된다면 작년 챔피언스에 이어 2연속 트로피를 드는 유일한 선수가 될 것 같은데 좀 본인은 좀 어땠는지 가족분들은 반응이 어땠는지 한번 듣고 싶네요. You know, if and when Com wins the title this year, he's going to be the first ever player to win the champions back to back. So how's his mindset been, and how's the family feeling on this?
He's always been mentally strong. He's always about team first. He brings the best in every one of his teammates that he's been part of. And it would be just amazing for him to win back to back. I know they'll win back to back.
Alright, that is incredible. 이제 워낙 컴 선수가 멘탈도 좋고 이번 팀원들과의 호합도 너무 좋기 때문에 이번에 만약에 2연속 우승을 드디어 차지하게 된다면 너무나 감회가 다를 것 같다고 하던데요. 오늘 파파콤과의 인터뷰 만나봤고요. And let's go back to Mind.
Thank you very much, Bella. Well, good, always good to hear from Papa Com.
I'm a big fan. If you don't follow him on Twitter, it's worth it. Trust me.
Absolutely. And for Trace, this has been a phenomenal first half. Now they move on to their defensive side. And a good, well-rounded showing as well. This isn't the Feng Feng show or anything like that. Bianche had some phenomenal rounds towards the end. Kai really stepped it up. Now the challenge is on for the America's #1 seed.
Listening.
And indeed, I'm excited to see what else Hebei has up his sleeve now that they're on the defensive side. It can be harder.
Yeah. He has some really cool ideas. One of them is throwing the barrier through the TP to block off Shower's control and try and trap people in when they go for the orb. We're not seeing that this round. In fact, it's going to be Lev walking towards the trip. Kai's been decent so far, under pressure, but you wouldn't think it. The way that he's playing, 3 in the pistol round.
Remaining.
As said, this guy at times can look like an insane jet, but put him on the scent. He's still hitting the shots. Mazzino, though, returns in kind. This would have to be an absurd clutch, but I've seen this man do it throughout the years.
Little heal as well.
He knows where he is.
That spam would have taken him out otherwise. And the heal comes back through. Just below 70. Trace, 4 versus 1. Nobody looking to peak. Playing this one down to the last on the timer. Letting Mazzino be the one that has to step forward. He sees an opportunity. And the shot connects through the wall. So much damage done already. If he had some teammates by his side, we might start to believe. But as he walks through, it's Feng Feng to find him. 8 rounds on the board. Another pistol in the hands of Trace. And an early lead in this half pushes them ever closer to that map victory.
I have to say, I'm starting to become more and more of a huge fan of this Trace side. Again, like, this is somebody getting pushed by 2 players exactly the same time, getting both kills with a classic, not reloading, and then getting a 3rd kill. Like, I have to say, mine does not work like that. Like, I probably would have maybe hit the first guy, and then the other bullets would have gone into the abyss. And well, that map's not even in the series. 8-5, a huge pistol round to convert and increase that lead. And obviously for the other side, there can't be a lot here. Tex and Aspas, 2 players who've been performing so far in this map, will have Sheriffs a chance to do some damage, reduce the purchase, and what is a fairly safe one. In fact, I don't think you'd normally see this many SMGs, but on a map like Bayern, there's a lot of tight angles, a lot of ideas that you can throw in, so I don't really mind it.
I think it was Concon who said that at this event, the Chinese teams are going to surprise. They're going to give their all, and, well, so far they most certainly have.
When do we stop being surprised?
Exactly.
That's the real question.
Yeah, I think it was a few days ago. This performance, already phenomenal. And now, 8 rounds on the board, looking to convert another. Plenty of weapons in play for the defenders. The side has been overrun. A deep flash, Aspas already passed it, close and looking for the fight. Down goes King and Mazzino, and Aspas gets nothing done either. It's again Tex that has to do the heavy lifting, and, well, he's certainly been spotted and deleted moments later. 9 rounds now, locked in for Trace, and a wonderful conversion for them with 4 rifles carried forward. The only player that died, well, they had a rifle, but it's recovered by the one with the pistol.
Yeah, it was just the SMGs and then obviously that 1 pistol, so it really isn't that much of a problem. They're going to lose that 1 player and everything brought through. Again, though, a lot of teams nowadays, you'll even see some going for like 4 rifles. Well, we saw that quite a bit yesterday, so I'm intrigued to see what the plan is in this round. Is it to try and trap players? Is it to give Kai a little bit more of an aggressive stance and try and use that Guardian? More importantly, though, I'm looking at King, because King's someone, again, you're going to see those assists. You're still going to see him putting in a performance. But last time out versus Vitality, I think he ended on like 25 kills. It was one of the main reasons they were able to win, and it was the post-plants of his Molotovs that did so much for them. I think he still had impact with the Molotov in the last half, but you expect a bit more from someone of his caliber on an individual level. Although the Des put him at number 5 in their blind ranking, so maybe not, maybe not, maybe not.
And we don't expect anything. Close to double digits. This could be the round to do it, but like you said, it's common now to see 4 rifles bought up for Trace. They go for a lot of SMGs. They're left with a Guardian on Kai. Good man to have it. And he's right up in A heaven with an opportunity as they look to come through. 2 big traps set up to try to catch them. For Leviatán, they have to be cautious.
That angle is being watched. Cam further back. And the ability for Feng to swing straight through after contact.
Yeah, they were waiting for contact to the cam. They've also got Aspas still holding on to control in case they want to go back through the TP. The worry I have, though, is that he's alone with the rifle. So if he goes down, there is potential. The rest of the team are going to go pushing, and they've walked straight into the trap. The sensor catches one now. Aspas trying to take space. He loses the fight as well. This bonus round is about as good as it could get. The nade going to do an extra little bit of chip damage. And my main worry now is that time is ticking. Com, though, has brought this back. He's made it competitive.
They don't want to get too far ahead of themselves. 20 seconds on the clock as the spike was starting to be planted, and sometimes you'll just go swinging in madly, but now these players are boxed in. The rotate's not quite here in time. Tex holding from further back. He has the back, and in fact, he has the front too. Feng down, but the battle for Lamps is a little labored. They get there in the end, a 2 versus 2. Big swing in from Bianche, but he gets nothing done. The tap from Hebe, and that was terribly close, but it's calm to bring it across the line. A narrow margin in this round, but Leviatán win an essential round victory in number 3.
That's such a huge bonus, though. Like, you're looking at like multiple SMGs,
3
a single
SMGs.
Guardian. So, like, really, they've done an insane amount of damage. The setup as well was just utterly gorgeous. Like, the way they're combining the sensor alongside those trips, because you kind of have to either just slow walk into those trips through a smoke, where you will die. Like, that'd be an insane risk. And then the second you pop out, if you do pop out, you get hit by the stun.
Yeah.
So you basically have to either be giving the game away and maybe throwing a nade in to try and break that early, or you have to walk into that setup where you can get stunned and revealed, and that's exactly what the guys on Trace were waiting for. It doesn't work out, and of course, there's still players like Com, like Tex, who are up there at the moment performing. I do understand the pause, though, from Leviatán. Like, it's about to clearly realize, okay, that was too close. That was a moment where things could have slipped away from us, and this map might even be in the dust at that point. So I'm going to try and take a moment. I think since he's taken that head coach role, it does seem like this team has found that synergy, has found ways to turn around maps that aren't quite going their way.
Yeah, sometimes NA needs a bit of EU to lead the way, you know?
You had to do it, didn't you?
Of course I did.
You had to do it.
Oh, they got Tex too. I mean, it works in both parts. But, you know, the funny thing is for Trace, in this position, they're still in with a chance to do exactly what you said, to leave Leviatán in the dust, because the damage they did last round means every credit has to be invested. So many players down to their last couple. Couldn't even man the arcade machines. And the beautiful thing as well is the trap set up by Kai, he leaves one out for free. Yeah, if they go blast packing through, they're going to get caught, but most of the time they'll destroy the first trap. And then they think they can walk right in. Little do they know.
He's stuck.
Beautiful net. Tex, though, holding his ground. He doesn't want to take the pin out just yet, and will use Mosh to do it. I like that. A little bit of utility just to make sure he stays alive. And this time, they're going to go forward. They've already broken the traps. There's a sonic sensor covering it, and then Feng ready to swing.
Oh, he took it back.
Blocking.
He took it back. They didn't break it. He took it back, and he has the second one down. It's actually just... The guy is reading them like a book at the moment. Expected it to come in. Maneuvered it. I think he's put it over the TP, so if they try and rotate, they're going to get stuck. Yeah, it's like right on the edge.
Past it. And this one not as easy to break. Oh, never mind. You have to swing out wide. I thought it was on the other side of the box.
Well, they've also broken the one over towards Showers, so information is there. Feng's still in position. It's expected, and he's going to be removed. An important opener, in fact, 2 coming up from Aspas. We know what this man can do when he's in form. Well, he's cleared the whole site on his own. 3 kills for Aspas. The other 2 players from Trace are out of there.
A much better round from Leviatán, dealing with those trap setups, ready for the player to be tucked in the corner. It's a gamble that Trace took that evidently did not pay off, and it's just due to the pacing. The fact that I assume Locking was going back to put down another smoke. He wasn't able to swing on time to trade it out, to take Aspas down, and as a result, even the 3rd kill goes his way. Leviatán locking in the 7th round with the save from Hebe and Bianche. And the credits for that defensive side, well, they require these weapons to be carried forward if they've any chance of the next.
Yeah, I still feel like they might just opt to save in this next one just to make sure that they'll have a better buy going forward. But those are the sort of rounds you expect to see from someone of the caliber of Aspas. I think widely regarded as the best of the best. I think him and Texture are the one put into that bracket right now. But well, this is the exact reason why Just finding opener after opener. Stun not quite catching this time, and well, even the nade to close out Kai at the back of the site. Trace are going to take the pause of their own. And again, I like how proactive they're being with it. I think both teams, the coaching staff, are willing to get involved, not going to wait until it's too late to try and slow down what has been a response, because we've already seen it. Like the last time this map was played versus Talon, it was a late resurgence. I think it was a 4-round streak to close the map. And I think Trace probably had their eyes on that game and have decided, you know what, let's not allow them to build that momentum, because, well, if Aspas does that more than once, you're in big trouble.
And you can see it on your screen there as well, that little blinking light in the bottom left underneath Trace. It's the last timeout for either squad. We've had them all burned up early, like you said.
SOT.
It's okay, sorry. That's the last pause in regulation. You know, I think most people understood that, but yeah, you'll get an extra one if we make it all the way to overtime. And in this, with how the map has played out so far, that might not be too much of a surprise if we do end up there. For now, though, you're not expecting much from Trace. They have their 2 rifles, sure, but minimal investments around those. Orbital strike, not likely to be put in. See, Feng's able to afford himself a Guardian, a Stinger in play. There are definitely going to be a lot of weaknesses. But a killer 2, and this is doable.
Yeah, they made it work with the SMGs. Even though they didn't win round number 15, they managed to do a lot of damage. So I always like watching what ideas teams have with the deadlock, because I think a lot of teams, the way they played the deadlock was just put it underneath hookah, like one of the sensors, and that was about it. That was about all the ideas they had, just try and throw the wall over. But he's using all his utility on that side of the map, and then just running back in the other direction to set up on B, which is currently where the remainder is going. Zeno's trying to sell the idea that there's a lot of presence, and Bianche, he believed him. He believed there was someone there and decided to swing and take the fight.
Right here.
Successful fight, a good scrap, and the rotates on the back of it. No information on the A site, nobody else seen. They suspect that the B site is where the fight's coming through. That's when Feng steps up, the lighter investment. He couldn't even get full shields. They're trying to save their money for the next round, but now, like I said, a killer 2, this becomes doable. That orbital strike, you start to think about possibly using it. If you get the information, and that they most certainly have. All 3 players spotted towards long. They're not going to have a way out of here. It's being watched, and they've been spotted coming back 35 seconds, even dealing with that man. If they don't kill him, you're not going to want to rotate to the A site. So much utility waiting there. And yeah, he's on his way to the other side. They still have to break through. Feng, who's got another, the nade and the net, stopping them in their tracks. 20 seconds now, and Leviatán, they have nowhere to go. No space taken, and the spike on its way to spawn. That's a double-digit round for Trace. And it looks like they might want to go hunting when this timer ticks down. Yeah, Feng stepping through.
It's more so if there's guns. I think that's what it is. He's only got himself a Guardian. There's also a Stinger. They are somewhat being watched for, but I think King couldn't really risk an overextension and giving that away. A big round for Trace and a big round for Feng as well. Just being able to find some ridiculous shots with the Guardian, and that was a lot of what this round was. Sure, I think after the fights there were quite a lot of really good pieces of utility, but the actual kills that came in were raw firepower. Like then, you know, look, then we've got a nade, and once you got the kill, I put a wall down. That was just firefights, and I think if there was any aspect of this game where we went, yeah, let's probably have them beat, it was raw aim.
Again, you know, you look at Trace, it's not an issue of what if one player cools down. Everyone is putting up the performance. It's a team effort that's gotten them to double digits and pushed Leviatán into another bye. Credit's still decently healthy. They need to figure out this defensive side. No one there to capitalize on the traps this time. Much more passive on the A site. We saw this from Leviatán when they had 4 players in Bath. I don't think there's going to be too much of a fight on the site itself. Instead, those players will focus on just keeping the control.
With this, it's a delay strategy. Like, you've got the orbital strike, you've got the Molotov as well, the nade from Feng on that side of the map as well, so that they're literally trying to play the exact same game we saw moments ago. Already, pressure being put on. Aspas just running out. He takes down Kai. That's a great start. The spike attempted to be planted. Orbital Strike going to be used, forces him out of position, but there's not really anyone to capitalize just yet. Fong trying his best, and actually, he comes out with 2. Now has a showstopper his own. I think Aspas may have actually just jumped over that, but now he's surrounded. He's got players coming in from behind. They still don't have Showers control, and I feel like they need to get out. They need to get out as quick as possible. They may get stunned on the B site, though.
And Hebei will be there to capitalize if they do. In fact, Annihilation is used, and it's caught 1. That's the spike. They have to break Tex out, and he's gone when he comes out the other side. Calm left with it all to do, and he's shut down. What a round from Hebei. That utility, the rotation, the reads, absolutely perfect. 11-7 for Trace. They are steaming ahead.
That was just unbelievable. Like, you look at this round, and you kind of sit there and go, okay, they lost an opener. A showstopper's been used by Aspas. You go, that's probably a done deal, right? He ends up in no man's land because of what Fong was able to do. Like, he gets 2 from Showers and holds that control. Like, that was pressure being put in by Leviatán to try and clear that angle. And then you just had superb utility uses. That was the exact sensor I was talking about. I was like, that's what a lot of Deadlock players do. You put that sensor down and you leave it for the whole round. He combined it with his ult.
Spectacular. Trace 11-7, putting Leviatán in jail, and it looks like Hebei's the warden. Lights out though for Kai. Aspas the one to find it.
Back to back.
He's been opening up well on this site, but there's always a response. Only the one to start, and the trades come in favor of the attack. Now the plant can come through. There's not much to deny it.
No surprises.
Maybe an attempt from Hebei. Oh, it's definitely not pretty.
I got the spot.
Eventually, Mazina will get the job done. And the only reason I'd say about Bianche going for this, credits are not bad. 2 players are incredibly low. Now, one of them is going to get healed. So that's something at least. Aspas is not going to be on his last legs, but we've already seen what Bianche can do. That information's crucial. Mazino willing to give up his life, potentially, just to try and find that. And why I think there's going to be the swing eventually from Aspas, but he's playing it slow. He's playing it patient. Bianche just trying to isolate one of these fights, but the crossfire should be enough to take him down, and it will be. Tex ready and waiting. Left break back immediately, a continuous back and forth between these 2 sides.
3 rounds between them. This one's going down to the wire. And we've seen some spectacular uses of those timeouts. Every time one has come in, the team calling, it's finding a new groove, but there's no more left to use. They're on their own down on that stage. And it's Leviatán. Big ultimates coming online. Viper's Pit. Seekers as well for the late round information. And a spread net from this attacking side, just looking to find any spots where Trace are getting aggressive, feeling confident in their individual duels. And if worse comes to worse, just send Aspas in to kill them all.
Spike dropped.
Well, this could be a way back in with credits on the edge for either side. Fong waiting patiently, but after the shot's not connected, he's not going to overextend. That is something else I've enjoyed with these players on either side, is feel like there's a respect for each other. Again, those sensors are going to be frustrating. I think they did throw a blast back to destroy them, but just wasn't quite there in time. Spam, it is going to deny the plant. That will at least buy a little bit of extra time, and this fight for Showers could be crucial. We've already seen what they could do with that control, but clearly unaware of how far Com had got.
Great lurk by Com. Yeah, he's just been shift walking up the whole round. Kill comes back in the other direction, and Aspas isn't happy about that, but he goes a little too far. Bianche waiting for him. Com walled off and dropped, and a stun in.
Uh-oh.
Retaking the control at the very least. King down to 58, and the double TP used. This time, the B site not so well defended. No traps waiting for them. No annihilation. It's going to be the plant in the 2 versus 3.
There needs to be an immediate shot connected, which there is. One goes their way. It's all up to King, and he gets all 3. It's been a quiet game for him so far. But the crown back on his head.
You see Tex hyping him up afterwards as well. Leviatán starting to hit their stride. That's 2 in a row, and just 2 between them. Trace will feel that pressure, and they'll see it manifested in their economy. This was a round that put them down to their last. What a way for King to close this. He had one opportunity, and he seized it.
Hey, my hand's sweaty, my bad. I saw you wipe it.
Coming into the next, there's a Viper's Pit and an orbital strike still.
I love the honesty.
For Leviatán. Attack side, a couple of safety nets to fall back on. If they get site control, post plan's going to be strong with either one of those ults, let alone both.
Kai has had a bit of a tougher time. I feel like he's always been in a 1v1 with Aspas anytime he's in a fight, and he has not been winning that 1v1. You're going to try and play a bit more aggressively. Bear in mind, a couple of stingers in play, but we've already seen that Trace are competent when it comes to their lower buys. Kai already going to fall out of there, not look to overextend and make sure that there's delay. The Seekers have gone out on the other side of the map as well, which means that we're going to see Lower King already push all the way up. They have so much information. They can stack this side of the map.
Comms reposition though. Now he's up close, ready for this fight. But he
Already
loses it. And now the back is open. Leviatán have to worry about that. The rotation through the TP won't be as easy this time. And lots of utility. It wasn't placed in the early round by Kai. Oh, he has to get out of there. Giving up the control, and Leviatán quick to seize it. Trap goes off, but no one there to capitalize on it. Broken the trap to take Lamb's control. And a lot of space now given to that side with Kai down. It's on Feng Feng. Able to at least take King. Keep the favor in the hands of the defenders, but it doesn't last long. The weaker weapons starting to show. The cracks in this late round defense. The play up by Locking, going all the way around. You can see Bianche's trying his best to draw their eye, and he's done exactly that. A free kill, and now these players surrounded, pressured on both sides. Locking down to 11, and he gets one. One more needed, but he stops at the last second. Tex delivers the fatal blow, and double digits for Leviatán.
I don't know if he thought he was dead or if his mouse went off his mouse pad, but he just froze in place. Well, I don't know what's just happened, because that looked like it could have been a ridiculous clutch. Instead, though, it's the same again. I mentioned this last time out when they played Talon. It looked like Talon had the game done, and then Leviatán dig deep. Then they start grinding out these rounds in clutch scenarios with big individual plays, players who had been missing. Well, King literally doubled his kills.
Yeah.
A round ago. Even still, though, it was a low buy. Trace now have weaponry back in hand, but for the series' sake, if they've learned anything from Talon, you just can't let this map slip away.
They're going to have to fight tooth and nail for this one. Orbital strike primed and ready by Trace. Loking wants to have that. As a response, if they step up into those traps, if they get stunned on their way into lamps. But you can see Leviatán were just wrestling for this control, grabbing an orb, forcing the rotations, and they've done just that. Heibe's on his way to A, 4-man stack up on that side of the map.
Well, Bianche just used a lot of his utility. He used the Sky Flash down long, then used the Tiger to clear out Hookah. So that's why they've gone for this massive rotation, because he cleared all other information. Now they have to try and sprint their way back to get into position. There is an orbital strike available. Maybe they could try and use that to deny the plant.
I think that's the idea behind the gamble. They'll allow this team to take side control knowing they can pop down the orbital strike. It's primed and ready, but a little late. Perhaps the plan is to use it in the post plant, in the retake for the defensive side to open up some space for them to fight with Aspas up close. That could be the disruption that they need. In goes Thrash, causing problems. In fact, detaining a teammate as well, but it's good enough. Aspas is caught, but they still have to get through that Viper's Pit, and plenty of players are standing in their way. The spike right inside of it, but the sprays going Trace's way. Blind fire, and every shot landing. King and Calm with the smoke now falling. Heibe dying because of the decay, and quite a lot of these players are decayed, but the health goes back to full. They start to tap that spike, cause the spams to go back in the other direction. Kai loses a lot of his life, and the spams aren't landing. They're not even close! Right under their nose! Trace of defuse behind the smoke! And now, on the cusp of victory in map 1, who could have seen this coming?
Well, I'm sure there's a few analysts after that first match that were saying that they could have seen it, but versus Leviatán, as that comeback looked to really gain some legs, just that retake into a Viper's Pit. The orbital strike didn't even really catch that much. and it came so close towards the end. Those spams, not far away, but just not on. And even though there was some body blocking, I think if they had got that correct, it would have easily cleared the players. Just unable to get it. Look at the weaponry as well. Now Leviatán need to make it work with a couple of stingers, or 3 in fact. At least they've got the showstopper.
Well, that's exactly what's going to open up this round for the side of Leviatán, dodging the annihilation, but the rocket doesn't land, and Mazzino already out of the round. He's caught by a big play through the TP. Fung keeping the control up there. Aspas desperately trying to hold on to life on the site, but this attack side's being split, diverted, and now they've got nowhere to go. Sending it back in the other direction, utility awaits them, but more importantly, there's an aggressive stance from the Brimstone. Now falling back, conceding the space somewhat in the molly to slow them down. King's isolated by it. Beautiful utility. And although he's down to 5, please don't step into that Molotov. We've seen that one before. It's only Calm. 1v3, the first kill easy, the other 2. Should be impossible, he's just stolen it. he's walked right in and walked away.
Wait a minute. Right, he must have been in that smoke, but he's a little bit late. The thing is, the trip's still online. And in fact, Loki, he's going to die here. Surely he's going to die! The man was on 5 HP, but he still manages to